Hey everybody, it's Melanie with Lost and Found, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is another one for you antique booth sellers out there. Today I have for you a month-to-month guide for staging and inventory ideas for your antique booth. I really think this is going to be helpful. I've got some pictures to show you to help, with those of you that are visual, and we're just going to kind of talk through how you can organize your plan for the year for your antique booth. So grab a cup of coffee. Let's set aside just a couple minutes and let's work through this. Okay, so I've always treated my antique booth like it's kind of a seasonal business. I've painted my furniture in seasonal colors, if that makes sense. I've tried to think about what holidays are going on, what's people are doing at various seasons around the year, and to kind of keep my booth in tune with those things. And that has worked really, really well for me over the years. And I've watched other booth owners do the same thing, and it's worked great for them. So, sometimes we kind of think too hard about what's going on with our business, and we want to keep trying to reinvent the wheel when really there's just kind of cycles we need to follow. There's natural cycles in retail, there's natural cycles and rhythms in just our lives. And so if we can just kind of know what those are, pay attention to that, sync up to that with what we're doing in our booths, and then every year just kind of rinse and repeat, it can be a really easy rhythm to get into. And then you can always know, here's what's kind of coming up for the next few months for my booth. Your shoppers that are coming to your mall, they've got life going on, right? Back at home, outside of their shopping experience. And there's general kind of feelings and rhythms that we live throughout the year. And so I really, really think if we can kind of connect to that with what we're presenting in our booths, then we can help our customers connect to our booths, see some more sales, and have a better experience. So let's start breaking this down. We're gonna go month by month. And the great thing is, don't feel like you've got to write all this down and take notes, because I actually have a download for you of everything we're gonna go through. At the end of this video, I'll have it up here for you. Of course, you can take notes if you want, but don't worry, we're gonna have this all in a written form for you to access later. All right, so we're starting with January and February. We're gonna kind of lump these two together. And of course, we've just finished the holidays, and traditionally everybody thinks, well, this is a time of year where nothing is selling. And in my experience, that's really not true. Yes, like there often is a little bit of a dip right after the holidays, but it doesn't have to be a time of low sales. You just have to think about, like, it's not the holidays anymore, it's different. So what are people doing and how are they feeling after the holidays? Well, it's kind of like after you had that big, heavy meal, you want like a light salad the next day, right? So after all of the heaviness and richness of all of that extra Christmas decor, people are kind of going back to simplifying in their decorating. And they want things that feel fresh. They want things that feel clean. Outside, like think about the crispness in the air. It's cold, the white snow, like everything just feels kind of clean and crisp and fresh. And so you want to channel that into your booth for the months of January and February. So here's what that looks like. Using lots of whites, using various shades of blue to kind of mimic that icy cold feel, just other cold colors in your space. You want to avoid warm colors because nothing about life is warm in January and February. We've had a lot of warmth and a lot of richness in the holidays, but now we're in this crisp cold season. So think about your crisp cold colors. That's what you want to be using in your booth space. So another thing that people are doing right now is they're doing a lot of organizing, right? They're putting up their Christmas decor and they're looking at their space and it feels kind of empty now that all their Christmas decor is up. And so, there's a motivation to kind of like reorganize your space. So think about what types of items fit with that. We're talking old filing cabinets, bookshelves, desks, anything that goes into that kind of home office, feeling, baskets, storage, things that you can find that are vintage that you can repurpose for a cool storage need. That's kind of what people are doing. They're stuck inside right now. They're organizing their home and they're looking for clever storage that is also going to help them kind of contain things and keep things clean and picked up. So another thing that's going on right now is people want to feel cozy. So think about items that you can sell that are going to invoke coziness. Right now is a great time for any sort of vintage quilts that you can find. If you do candles, it's a good time of year for candles, or maybe you want to invest in some candles kind of just for this season. Anything that you can create that warm, cozy feeling, that's what people are looking for right now. And then of course, Valentine's Day kind of sneaks in. So towards the end of January, you can definitely throw some of that in your space if you want. If you want to do a whole Valentine's booth, go for it. If you just want to make a couple vignettes, go for it. But you can definitely pull in some reds, some pinks, some whites, any sort of flowers, floral, toss a little bit of that in. Valentine's Day isn't a huge shopping time, but it is a holiday, and so you definitely can kind of rally some inventory around that. Okay, so some items specifically that you can think about considering for your inventory this month: baskets or any kind of storage, desks, filing cabinets, bookshelves, we already talked about that. Accenting your space with bare branches or with branches that just have berries on them. You may have seen the tallow berry trees that have the pretty white berries. You don't want to do a lot of greenery right now because it's not green outside. That's not what it's feeling like. But you can still use natural elements, those that kind of speak to winter in your space. Also look for winter art. Vintage art that is winter scenes. There are a lot of people that decorate their mantels seasonally, and they change their art out. They change what they've got, out on display. And so if you can find some winter themed art, now's when you want it in your booth. So for Valentine's Day, think about vintage jewelry. That can be a great time to bring that out. Any type of floral that you've got, anything with floral, any sort of dishes or china that have that pretty, pink floral pattern, or red and white transferware is, just great for Valentine's Day. Of course, old vintage Valentines that you can find, or you can go and kind of make your own. You can find vintage cards online and print them out yourself, make little banners with them. There's a lot that you can do for that holiday. All right, so let's move into March and April now. So this is when, even though it may not feel like spring outside, spring is what people are thinking about, and it's what they're ready for. So this is when you want to get rid of those bare branches and the berries, and you want to bring in that greenery. You want to spring out your space. You want your space to feel alive. And so that's kind of the vibe that we're going for, and that's going to make people excited to be in your space. Okay, so think about greens and pastels. Perfect time to start bringing that into your space. Of course, the green is everything starting to green up at spring, and you've got St. Patrick's Day, the pastels, you've got Easter coming. That also speaks to, the tulips that are popping up and the daffodils, and so your yellows and your pinks and your light blues, and those are all great colors to use when you're painting furniture for your space right now, or just for items that you're shopping for and bringing those into your space. And I definitely recommend, like I said, put some greenery in your space and sell it, right? Find some wholesale greenery that you can sell, because people are going to buy it right now. If you need some sources for wholesale greenery, I've got a whole video on that. I'll have it right up here. You can go check it out. This is a great time to sell some of that. You can put a separate tag on it, use it to fluff up your display, but then also sell those items. People are excited about adding that life and freshness to their space right now. Okay, other things that are on the brain in spring, and so items that you can consider having in your booth. Let's say anything that is gardening related. People are excited about that. So old gardening tools, vintage seed packets, gardening books. Think of anything like that. You can create a whole entire gardening vignette for your space. We're also looking at vintage china and milk glass and white ironstone right now. One, because a lot of times it kind of fits in that light pastel color scheme, but also this is the season when people are starting to party plan. They've got spring weddings, baby showers, bridal showers, and using vintage china and things like little milk glass bud vases has become really, really popular for those events. So this is when you want to bring that stuff into your booth. People are looking for it right now. So if you can sell live plants in your booth, now's a great time to go to your local wholesale nursery or just your plant nursery and grab some little tiny ones, like just little ferns or little succulents. Go ahead and put them in your booth and sell them. Like, yes, you'd be surprised. People can go down the road to the nursery and buy them too, but they see them in your booth and you've got them in this cute pot and they'll buy them from you. Now, not every space can do that. Sometimes you have to have a gardening license to sell actual physical plants, so you're gonna have to do your own research on that. Along with that, planters, anything that fits in with the whole idea of plants. Plants and house plants are so big right now. They've been so big for the past 2 years, and everybody's got it on the brain right now in spring. And then of course, one of the last things is all the Easter stuff. So bunnies, chickens, eggs, all of that kind of stuff. You can buy little, sets of kind of speckled eggs and, shred up some sheet music and put some little speckled eggs in a bowl and make an adorable Easter display. And you can charge somebody for the whole thing, right? Use those things as kind of fillers for out your space. So if you need some ideas for how you can find some things like that, some little speckled eggs or whatever, just some affordable kind of little splashes of seasonal decor, I want you to go check out this video right here, okay? It's gonna give you an easy way that you can do that without spending a ton of money. All right, so moving on, we're in May, June, and July. It's starting to get hot. People are getting out of school and they are excited about their summer vacations and their summer travels. So you want to speak to that in your booth space, okay? So here's when your colors can get more saturated. They can get deeper. You can get that deep yellow, those deep oranges, that deep green, that deep blue, because everything in the summer is just intense, right? So now's when you can bring that out. You also don't want to forget about the 4th of July, right? Around the middle of June, you can bring out your red, white, and blue, even if it's not a patriotic item, even if it's just red, white, and blue dishes or red, white, and blue books. People, again, are looking for ways to kind of accent their parties that they're having or whatever for that holiday. So you've got that holiday that you can kind of target with your decor and your inventory in your booth. All right, so another kind of theme that you can really go with is anything with water. So people go to the lake, people go to the ocean. So anything that's gonna speak to that, you can have in your booth space. So seashells, anything nautical, art that again is, oceanscapes. You had your winter art in January, right? If you've got summer ocean art, then you pull it out now because that's what's on people's brains. Blue mason jars even are great because you put a whole bunch of those together and it kind of looks like blue ocean water, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like you're trying to create that sort of summer vibe in your space. Okay, so a few specific things that you can consider for this month. I already said seashells. Like if you've got a bunch of greenery in your space, try swapping out your greenery for seashells. And yes, you can sell your seashells too. Get a bowl full of them and let people pick through. Anything nautical, like I said, anything that you can find that is nautical is great for the summer months. So think about it also in the summer, people want to relax and have fun. So they're doing their hobbies. So you can create a theme in your booth that is centered around hobbies or something fun. And so think about like fishing poles, like old fishing poles and, tackle boxes and, those trout lines. And you can do a whole display based on thinking about going fishing in the summer or old badminton rackets or any sort of old sports things. Like they do really well in the summer because people are playing and they're having fun in the summer. And so all of that's kind of already there on their brain. Again, we've already talked about the 4th of July. Of course, if you have some patriotic specific items, bring them out, but just flat out anything that you have that is red, white, and blue, put it in your space and put it together. If you've got red books, tie them up together or do a red, white, and blue book stack. You don't have to actually go necessarily buy new stuff. You just have to pull the colors together in a new way that will kind of speak to the event that's going on. And then even in these months still, milk glass china is a great thing to have around because there's late summer weddings. People are still doing some entertaining. And so keep that stuff out throughout the summer. Usually that still does really well for me. Okay, so August and September, out of all kind of the chunks of the year, these are the two that really have the least kind of feel to them. Really, they're just months of transition. So it's still really hot outside, but nobody's having summer fun anymore, right? We've kind of moved on. So we're going back to school and we're kind of starting to think about the fall, but it doesn't really feel like the fall yet. It's just kind of a weird time of year. So I would say though that you want to start moving your summer out and you want to give your booth a new feel. So I would start to bring in warmer wood tones and warmer colors right now. You want to get rid of kind of your coastal, your white, your blue, your light summer colors, and bring back in kind of those fall warm tones. That's kind of what people are starting to feel. Back to school is probably the main thing that's happening right now. So you can play on that in your space. You can, find some old vintage school desks or school maps or children's books, or, if you've got something, these, little vases, get a bunch of sharpened pencils and stick them in there. Like that's on the brain. People are doing that. So create a vignette that's kind of a fun little back to school vignette. Some other specific items that you can think about: more storage as your kids go back to school. People, again, they're trying to kind of organize. So baskets, bins, storage, that kind of stuff does well right now. And then towards the end of September, you can definitely start sprinkling in some of your fall items. All right, October and November and December. These are probably the most obvious and the easiest to plan for because there's a holiday literally every single one of those months. But because it's so busy and it's such a huge chunk, because it's so busy and it's just an important chunk of time, it's kind of good to have a plan in your head and to know what inventory you're going to pull out, when you're going to pull what's in there, and when you're going to put what in. So let's talk about that, okay? You don't have to just sell holiday themed items, but I want you to think about the colors. The stuff that you have, maybe displaying it in a new way, or pulling out items that are specific colors that fit with kind of the holidays that we have going on. So October is your Halloween time. So pull out your black stuff, everything that's black. Pull that out right now. And, give Halloween just a little bit of a shout out before you head into Thanksgiving. Not everybody does Halloween. And so if you have some Halloween stuff in your space, it's going to help you stand out from other vendors in your mall. You probably don't need to have a ton of it, but just, create a little vignette or two, and give that event a little bit of a shout out, and you may be surprised to see what kind of stuff you can sell for Halloween. So by mid-October, it's time to start thinking about Thanksgiving, pulling out your things that are all the fall, the pumpkins, the leaves, the turkeys, all of those kinds of things. And then for sure, by November 1, that's when you need to have your Christmas out. If you want to kind of have all of that simultaneously, you can separate it into different vignettes, or you can just keep redoing your booth each time. But that's kind of the personal schedule that I follow. Okay, so some specific items that you can consider for your inventory these months. The first is old portraits. These are great actually for Halloween decor. You can make them kind of spooky. You can put them in some old frames. You can add a little bit of something to them, but they just kind of have that old Victorian vibe, which can actually work really well for Halloween. Also, anything that is like hunting themed. This is kind of hunting season. So ducks, pheasants, turkeys, any sort of art, anything that has a hunting kind of inspired print, all of that does really well this time of year. And of course, anything pumpkin and all things pumpkin do really well right now. Leather also does really well right now. So if you can find some leather furniture, or if you have some decorative accents that have leather on them, this is a great time to bring those out too. So there's a lot of entertaining coming up. Glassware and linens do great right now. This is when people are wanting to outfit their holiday tables. And so bring out all of that fancy stuff that you've got stashed away. If it's going to sell, now is the time, because people are using that to create these beautiful holiday tablescapes. Also, anything that is metallic is great for this time of year, whether it's brass, copper, or silver. It's great to have it out right now. I've sold several old mantles in this season of time People want to decorate mantles, and a lot of times if they don't have one in their house, they will create a faux fireplace with old mantles. And so if there's a place where you can get architectural salvage, then now's a great time to have some mantles in your space. And speaking of architectural salvage, any that you can find that is just in those holiday colors, those, shutters or screens or windows, any that have the green and the white and the red, bring those into your space, because people will buy those for this season, for those colors, to make holiday displays with. All right, so I want you to remember that you don't have to just sell holiday items this month. Of course, if you've got vintage holiday decor, bring it out, but you don't necessarily have to go out and buy all of that to create that feel for your booth space. You can use non-holiday items to create the same thing. If you're focusing on color and texture that's kind of fitting right now with the season. So if you've got red and green books, those can become holiday decor for your booth. So don't overthink it. Don't think, well, I have to fill my booth space with vintage Christmas and I don't have a lot of it, so I can't sell anything. No, you can take the same items that you have, but just give them a holiday spin, and they'll be great for your space. All right, so like I said, all of this information we have for you also in a download. You can head to boothsellerbootcamp.com/download, and that's where you'll be able to get this. So it's something that you can refer back to over and over. I hope the pictures helped. I hope that you guys were able to get some ideas. Of course, that's all these are. They're just ideas, but for me, I've always found it helpful to just kind of have a target in my mind, so that I kind of know what I'm doing in general with my booth throughout the year. It gives me something to think about when I'm out shopping. It gives me kind of a place to land on. It helps me shop smarter, because I know kind of what I'm buying for the upcoming season that's just around the corner, rather than just buying whatever is out there. I'm kind of shopping smarter. I'm shopping for what is going to fit right now. And I do think that it can help your space stand out, and it can help your space just looking continually refreshed. If you're changing it up for the seasons, then it's going to be a new space every time that return shopper comes back. Because a lot of, you've got a lot of return shoppers. It's the same people that come back over and over again. So if your booth kind of looks new every couple months, even if it's the same inventory, you're just displaying it in a different way. You're adding some kind of unique vignettes in there. It's giving them something fresh to look at, and it's fitting in with kind of how they're feeling. And I really do think that it can boost your sales. So I hope you guys have found this helpful. Of course, if you're not a subscriber, I would love for you to subscribe, join our channel. If you've got any other questions, please post them in the comments or thoughts. I'd love to hear. You guys are great. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back again soon.